Hello Internet, my name is Ace and today we're going to be drawing female eyes from the front. I'm going to be doing a full series on the construction of female animated struck cartoon women and girls, and this is the eye part. So if you want to see the rest of the videos, hit the subscribe button and go over to my channel, and there should be a playlist that this video will be in alongside the other ones. So we're going to cover as maybe 7 or 8 different styles of female eyes. So we're going to stick with a really simple kind of modern Looney Tunes, Warner Brothers-y kind of human female eye. So as you can see, just a big old oval that's maybe fatter at the bottom, bit kind of egg-shaped, but not super egg-shaped. Then we want a big, thick upper lid, which is going to be the kind of mascara-y top eyelashes, and then we've added the flicks on the side just to really accent the kind of the long eyelashes. So the bit that I'm colouring in right now, that is the upper eyelashes, the main bit. So you really want thick on the top, thin on the bottom, just because it just makes a more pleasing eye that way. So you need to darken the pupils, add a little mark at the bottom, but be careful with the with female eyes, because or anyone's eyes in particular when you're cartooning and caricaturing, because it's fine with a little mark at the top and the bottom because that signifies the actual eyelids themselves. But don't make them too thick unless you're trying to make them look really sexy and sultry, and the top eyelid needs to be accented a little bit more. But on the bottom, because every time you add a line to a character, it's going to add age. Every single line adds like 10 years age. So it's careful to really back that down on cute and appealing characters. So, not that the more mature lady cannot be cute or attractive. So, here, what I'm doing, which I would never ever do when I'm actually drawing a character, is copy the eye over and flip it. I would never ever do that. I'm just doing it just to save you time watching this. Everything needs to be drawn from scratch. This is not just me being like purist and saying, look, you need to draw everything, you can't copy. If you're doing this on pen and paper, you're going to have to do it anyway. You can follow along with this tutorial, pen and paper, anything. I'm drawing in Manga Studio at the moment, but you can do it Photoshop, anything you can think of. So the reason why I flipped, like I say, is just through pure speed things. But the problem with copying and pasting is, in real life, nobody's eyes are identical on either side. And I've said it before, but cartooning and animation is just the caricature of reality, real life. So we need to kind of accent that. So in any way that you can make the left and the right differ slightly, it just adds interest and a bit more warmth to the characters. A lot of the digital stuff that's done nowadays, animated series wise, and things that you see on the internet are they feel a little dead, like they're almost like manufactured, like actual toys or something. So you can see what I did there, by the way. I'll just talk about quickly, was draw an angle, because I want these eyes on the angle. We're going to cover, like I said, different angles, different eye shapes, but if you want a kind of sexy eye, if you look at a lot of cartoons, probably, I can't think what she looks like, but probably Jessica Rabbit's are angled somewhat, because the kind of angled eye gives a bit of like a kind of sexy girl, especially with a lot of upper eyelid, which there's not a great deal of upper eyelid on this one, but it can really add just a really sexy look. So this is just a pretty generic one, to be honest. But we want to draw through the forms. You see, like right now I'm drawing a circle. I'm not just starting on the bit that you can see, the bit I'm actually drawing now. I'm not just starting on that bit, because you want to draw through your forms. Drawing through the forms just means even if something ends, to just carry that circle on, just because it'll feel a lot more believable. If you're just doing a perfect arc of the, again, I'm just adding like more upper eyelids to accent the sexiness a little bit more, just pushing it as I can without it looking ridiculous. So yeah, so drawing through, it just makes the forms seem believable, because just because we can't see something doesn't mean it's not there, and that goes to a lot of things in drawing. But so this bit again, upper eyelids, not eyelids, eyelashes. They really want to be accented. But yeah, you want to be drawing through your forms, and as you can see in this, I'm drawing super sketchy, just really loose. And the reason why is because this is not going to be the final thing that you see. This is like the sketch underneath. It's always important, whether you're drawing cartoon characters or whatever, is to build from a base. You're creating a base and then building on top of it. If you're doing it in real life, just use tracing paper, go over the top of it, or just rub out the lines, and so you can still see them somewhat, and then go over them. Again, I'm adding a bit of dark eyelashes to the bottom lid, just to really have that again. I keep saying sexy, but it's that. That's the best way to describe it. That kind of sexy eye has the thick eyelashes. So this one's again a bit more, not realistic, but I mean, when you're comparing it to the first Looney Tunesy kind of thingy ones, then I guess it is. But just darkening the eyelid again, just to kind of have. I'm not a lady, as you can probably tell by my voice, but I think it's eyeshadow, maybe. The things that make your eyelids go different colours. That stuff, that's what that is. It's just, again, adds that kind of sexiness to it. So, copying over, flipping it, again, I don't recommend people ever do that. You want eyelids open slightly more, slightly less on each side. But just for speed and simplicity. So, the thing which you'll notice, which I tend to do a lot with female characters, cute characters, is the eyes are quite far apart. There's a lot of gap in the middle. And the reason for this is, if it's basic caricature kind of theory, I guess, is that if you look at someone who's got a small nose, generally their eyes are further apart, and a smaller nose is seen in the kind of animation, like if you think about Disney, none of the princesses have like big honking noses, and that's for a reason. It's just aesthetically pleasing, but at the same time, there can be a lot of character in noses, but we look at the eyes when we're talking to someone, and then maybe the mouths as well. So accenting those things are important, unless it's part of their character. It's big kind of witch's nose or something like that. So again, you could see that I did not really a circle, kind of a bit of a disjointed circle a little bit, and then I'm kind of cutting into that a little bit with the line, just again, just so I've got a bit of a base to base this off. So you want to make sure, like even the second eyes that I drew that are in the center there, those ones again drawing through. Those ones are almond shaped, almond shaped, and but the top half of the almond is bigger than the bottom half. You don't want an exact 1-to-1 kind of ratio of the top and the bottom, because it just looks like it just looks really amateuristic. You need a bit of variation. So on this, again, drawing through the forms, adding the little highlight. I'll talk about them in a bit, the highlights, but again, just a really thick upper eyelashes, and then just adding those little spikes. I kind of like the little spikes. The kind of, when we're working with animated characters, we don't want to draw every single eyelash, because it'll just look messy. You want to break things down into understandable forms. So kind of having those little flicks like representing the eyelashes, your brain understands what that is when it looks at a picture and kind of fills the rest in. So here is the eyeball, iris, I don't know, whatever that bit is inside. And you can see the bit that's above where I'm colouring now, the bit that comes off the eyelash, that little flick, that's intentional. That is, again, the upper lid. That's where the actual socket of the eye is. And again, it's just one little line. Don't go too wild with them, or else it'll age the character. But it's just nice to have that in. It just adds, again, a little bit more form and believability. So I'm flipping this again. What I did like on these eyes is at the bottom, say the bottom right, you can see that the flick carries on, and it's just to make it feel like those eyes are actually within skin, that they're actually within a socket. Adds a bit of 3D kind of feeling to it, which again adds to the realism. Even though they're super stylized, they still feel believable, which is, I think, the hardest and probably most important thing when you're creating cartoons, is to make them feel believable, even though they're super like cartoony and stylized. So yeah, so here is I'm gonna do another set now. And let me think. So yeah, so again, drawing through all the forms and really build that up. Dead easy if you're on paper, even easier if you're working digitally. You can just slap another layer on top and ink it. I will ink the eyes now. Again, just drawing a full ball, because that's the eye. The eye is a ball. It's important to remember that, even when we're cartooning, that it is an actual ball underneath these. So these are going to be more younger, I guess, kind of like the modern kind of Pixar movie kind of young child eyes. These are young child eyes. The ones before have been maybe a bit more adult. These ones going to be very, so again, the cuteness wants to be amplified to really open, almost round forms. But you can see that, like I just drew there is an angle there. It's a very slight one, and there's one again at the left hand side at the bottom. There's an angle there, and it's important to have that in mind. It's not just a sphere. There does need to be a form. And because these are younger eyes, again, I've added the upper lid, but I've not gone too wild. I'm not going wild with the eyelashes or anything like that. And keeping, again, the cuteness. If you have the eyeball, no, the big circle in the middle, the iris, whatever it is, if you have that not touching the sides, it just adds a lot more cuteness, a lot more just cuteness to it. Makes them look younger if you add that space. Never have it dead center though. That just looks bizarre. Always have it pointing a little bit cross-eyed. For some reason, cross-eyed on cartoons looks awesome. It makes them look super cute. Not sure why. So I've added a little bit of eyelashes, but again, nothing compared to the other ones. There's not the flicks on it. It's not the real deep blacks or anything like that. Just a little bit. So just kind of colouring, making a thick kind of outline on this one. I like to do that. I like to have a thick outline, then the colour, and then obviously the black in the centre, and having the highlight, which again, I'll talk about the highlights in a second. So again, drawing through the forms, just really making sure everything's nice. So yeah, like I said earlier, they're very sketchy at the moment, but that's fine. That's cool. That's the way it should be. Nobody ever gets to see this section of a drawing. This is just so you know, it's kind of a map. When you're inking over it later, which I will ink these, I won't record the inking because it's just adding more time. You're getting the most important, pertinent things by just watching this rather than going through this long, arduous process, watching the ink and everything. If you want to see inking videos in the future, just post a comment down below and I'll definitely get onto. I'll do some inking videos. Again, these are younger eyes, so like I said earlier, which I don't think I fully spoke about, the reason why they're wide apart is because the nose, as you get older, the nose gets longer. So if you're doing a child, which I'm not sure why I just did there, if you're doing a child, you want the nose to be very short, very, very short. And if you just raise the nose up, it'll look weird. You need to bring the eyes out to bring the nose up. That's a really cool tip. Even if you'll see this in real life, the wider apart people's eyes are, the shorter the nose is for the vast majority of times. And it'll only be millimeters, but again, cartooning and animation is the caricaturing of life. So if it's slightly more, just ramp that up a little bit, really widen them. And it'll look very youthful. So as you can see now, another angle. I didn't draw the angle in, but you get the idea. It's going to be more almond shape, kind of sexier eyes, I guess, again. So again, you want the top half to be, I'm saying half, it's obviously not half, but the top section to be thicker, thicker, maybe, whatever the word I'm looking for, bigger, I suppose, works fine, than the bottom section, because it just doesn't look right if they're very even. It looks like a 4-year-old's drawn it or something. So this is kind of like a bit of a weird shape. So you can see how I base things. The oval was there, and then you're basically carving the shape. It's very important to start with the big shapes first, the oval. If you just went in and drew this without having the guide from the oval, it wouldn't look right. So, or it might look right, but then you try doing that for the other eye, the left eye, or whatever, and it just you're gonna be giving yourself a way harder time. So as you can see, I've used the top of that oval as well to dictate where the eyelashes go. So the oval is super important. It's important when you're doing anything. If you're drawing a face, if you're drawing a car, if you're drawing a donkey, anything you can think of, then an old man kicking his brother's shoe, then everything needs to be drawn from these big shapes first. So you need to start simplifying. You need to start looking at things as big shapes. If something's a little bit round, start with a circle. If it's more oval, more square, start with a square. Start with a box and then carve things out. It'll make your forms a lot more structured and a lot more believable. So again, it was this oval. The oval dictated where the eyelashes were. I just carved into that. So it's kind of a similar, I guess, less sexy but still sexy version of the second one that I drew. Maybe it's got the eyelid up top, quite a big one, but nowhere near as big as the other one, and it doesn't have the eyeshadow on. So it just kind of maybe teen eyes, maybe, not sure. Depends on the character that you're actually drawing, but again, we'll get into constructing the female face and body in further videos, and I'll maybe do an inking one as well if people are actually interested in that. So you can see the little mark that I did on the bottom, just to signify where the actual eye socket is on the bottom and the top. You can see as well on the child eyes, did the top want to signify the socket, but not the bottom, because like I say, every time you add a line, it's adding a decade onto the life. So I kind of like these eyes now, actually. They're kind of fun, and you can see the little flicks there. That's going to be sort of maybe a guide for doing it. Maybe not. I didn't really like the flicks, but they don't need to be there. They can be there on some, not there on others. It really depends on what style you're going for. But we'll cover that again. We'll cover that in further courses. So Here we go, flipping that round, which you don't want to be doing, but just simplicity. Wow, that was creepy. Again, quite far apart. The more, if you're going super stylized cartoony, then you can have them close together and still have a short nose. Like the first eyes that I drew, they're very Looney Tunesy, kind of modern Looney Tunes, not the old Looney Tunes, and they're quite close together when you compare the rest of them. But that's fine. That's perfectly fine. So there's them ones done. Kind of move them out of the way. Let's see what's next. So yeah, so subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and you want to see more videos on how to draw cartoons, how to just draw in general, how to draw from life, everything. Again, we've got the angle there to signify the kind of slanted eyes, which again is just for some reason is sexier. You can see with the first eyes that we drew, there's no slant whatsoever, and they look kind of comical, like comic strip kind of cartoony. Here as well, doing the almond thing again, need to be very careful not to make them both the same. So if you look here, the bottom this time is bigger than the top, which all the other ones so far has been the other way around. So yeah, so like I say, that first one, super cartoon, you can get away with without the angles and everything. And yeah, so really, really big pupils as well. I think if you're going cuter, you want the kind of bigger pupils, but not touching the size, like I said with the child eyes. But if you're going kind of sexy, still want them big pupils. If you want to go super sexy, slant the pupils as well. You can see that I did these as an oval, just a bit different kind of thing. They're yeah, just like a slanted oval rather than a perfect circle. That's cool too. If you want to keep adding interest, draw the other eyes but add slants, and then draw no slants on this one. Just keep experimenting. So again, I've kind of done the opposite with the eyelashes to the actual shape. So normally the shape's been thicker on the top and then thicker eyelashes. This one's thicker on the bottom, but then the eyelashes are still thicker on the top. It looks bizarre if you do super thick eyelashes on the bottom, just because if you grab a mirror, look at the person next to you, whatever, there's not that many eyelashes actually on the bottom, because just the way nature intended it's to stop like sweat, I guess, getting in your eyes. That's your eyebrows. Stop like dust, whatever is getting in your eyes. And the top ones do a lot better job than the bottom ones at that. So just ask your friendly neighborhood Darwin. He'll sort you out with that info. And yeah, so just really thick on the top. The thicker the top eyelashes, the sexier they are. Unless you go really, really thick and it looks like she's smuggling snails and slugs in her eyes, trying to get them through customs, get on a flight with those lovely slugs. Then again, we've got the top bit, the top eyelash, not eyelash, sorry, it's the bit when you feel your skull. If you feel like above your eye, you've got the actual socket for their eye. That's just what that is. Again, built off an kind of oval shape. I've gone thicker than any of the others on the bottom here, just because this one's super stylized. It's I wouldn't normally draw this kind of eye. Probably not, but it's just another eye to kind of add in there. As many different eyes that you've got in your arsenal, the better, because you want varied characters. You want everything to draw. You don't want everything that you draw to look exactly the same. You want to vary things up a little, and so it's good to kind of experiment and get outside your comfort zone. You might find something you really like, maybe not. If not, who cares? You just wasted 2 minutes. It's not a problem. So here's these ones. They're again, they're not my favorite, but they'll probably fit in certain projects perfectly. But it's just not my kind of style. But the course, I'm saying course, but this section of videos that this belongs to, as I say, will just be about creating appealing female cartoon characters. And I'll be going through different nose shapes, different mouth shapes, different face shapes, everything like that. So, like I say, subscribe and go onto my channel, and you should find the playlist that this is in, and it'll be on there. You'll be able to see that. So, the actual highlights in the eyes are all wrong on these things, and it really bothers me when this happens. But it's just because I've been flipping them. If we draw again, I'm just writing highlights. If we draw a rough eyeball, or the actual pupil. I need to know what they're called. The highlights, if the highlight's on the right of one eye, it'll be on the right of the other eye as well. Okay, it never happens where, like this, where, and like the ones that I've just flipped, where there's a highlight on the right and then it's on the left on the next eye. Because it just doesn't work like that. If you think, unless the lighting was very strange, but light's somewhat directional. So, well, not somewhat directional, it is directional, but it bounces off things. But actual highlights are where the light is hitting it the most. So let's say that the light was coming in from the top left. If it's hitting the left-hand side of the left eye, it can't really hit the right-hand side of the right eye because that's facing away from the light. So it just needs to be hitting at the... If it's hitting on the right, on the left eye, hit on the right eye. It's as simple as that. But I see that mistake so many times, and it just doesn't work like that. And it really breaks the immersion for me because I love highlights. I think the highlights really make things. So, again, I'm going a bit kind of funkier with the bottom eyelid shape here. So we built it off an angle again, slanted angle, works great for female eyes. So do that. Big pupil, again, taking up the majority of the eye. Highlight, which again, it'll be wrong when I flip, but I love big highlights as well. I wish I'd have gone a bit bigger on the little girl eyes, because the bigger the highlight as well, just the cuter it appears. So here we go. So we're just thickening the outline of the pupil. That always definitely needs to be done. It just looks so much better. So these are more, again, not realistic as in realistic, but they're a bit more realistic in the shape. The fact that there's that S curve going on kind of on the bottom eyelid. And again, I've gone with the top section of the eye bigger than the bottom section, thickening up those eyelashes a bit. This is quite an extreme kind of, what's the word? It almost looks like a weird shaped water droplet where it's kind of like bent and upside down a bit, but it's very extreme. So going extreme with the eyelashes is probably a good idea too. With the little spikes, it just kind of adds to the character a little bit. So we've got both them. Again, there's no real right or wrong way to stick those eyelashes on. You don't want them going across all the way across the eye. Definitely not. That would be too much. You just need them a flick at the end, like those. These are obviously the most extreme, biggest ones, but you kind of just want them at the edge. Again, it really sells the idea to me if you add in that top eyelid. Having that in there, it adds that realism, and I just love it. Like I say, even on the child's eye, I added the top eyelid in. The eye socket. It just really, like I say, it just really sets it apart and it adds this believability to it, even though they're super stylized. And again, I wouldn't normally go wild on the bottom eyelashes, but why not? Add a bit of fun. So we've, again, they want to be smaller, like they are there. The bigger flicks are on the top, obviously. and just smaller ones on the bottom. Again, it's amplifying real life. That's all it is. So here we are. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 lots of eyes there. So you can see exactly how a female eye is built. Get the angle if you want the angle. Then thicker eyelash on top, thinner on the bottom. Generally a thicker eye on the top. Here's the inks. These are what they look like, all inked up. And you want the highlight. Make sure the highlights are on the right hand side. I put the highlights. I set them right this time on the inked versions. They're just very quickly inked. They're not super stylized. Just black and white. And I didn't want to go over the top with it. It was just, like I said, a demo to show you how I would approach actually designing the eyes. So yeah, so if you like this video, then please subscribe. It really helps me out. And like the video, share it with your other artist friends, and just get the word out there. It really helps me, and it helps me know what's helping people, so it can better inform my judgment in the future to create better videos for you. So yeah, like it, subscribe, all that rubbish, and I'll see you next time. See you later.